Back Paradigm versus Dignitas. I've just managed to catch my breath totally after that amazing set last time. Back and forth. Literally back and forth.
That was insane. And all I have to say is my man Ra, he's back.
Ra's back.
Ra!
You think he's back?
I think he's back.
Let's go to the standings first of all before we get into this one. Just see again what the situation is. Panthera automatically qualified. Hungry for More very, very, very close right now. Paradigm, though, they could still go ahead of Hungry for More today if they do 2-0 Dignitas. However, Dignitas, if they lose both these games,
they're out. They're completely out. So this is a must-win for Dignitas. Everything is on the line for these two teams. And I like this matchup specifically in the duo lane because both of the support and the hunters are very aggressive. So it's going to be a lot of fireworks early on.
Should be a crazy game between these two. Dignitas, they've had a great season so far. Paradigm, they've continued their steady pace more than anything else this time round. However, there is a substitute today.
It's going to be WolfOfEloStreet subbing in for Suntouch. So we might not see the kind of aggression that we expected, but we'll see. You know, the hunters are still going to be able to 1v1 each other as the supports leave. So
now, WolfOfEloStreet, he has got competitive experience, played on the side of Night's Watch, and was part of Torpedo Gaming on their run in the Challenger Cup to get themselves into the Pro League. Was replaced by Murder at the end of the season, though, at the start of the SPL. So with that, we'll see how this is going to work out, because Dignitas, without a full team with a substitute, can they take a win off Paradigm? Let's find out as we go into picks and bans. There we go. We're in picks. Ooh, that was awkward. I'm sorry. It was my fault, I believe. I don't know what I did
blame
wrong.
Adonis.
No, it wasn't Adonis' fault. That was me.
It's always
blame
Adonis'
me,
fault.
guys. Blame me in chat. Blame Hindu. It's okay. Hashtag Hindu. It's all my fault. I'll take it. Paradigm will be first pick, first ban. Dignitas will be in the opposite position, which means they'll be Chaos side and also receive the counter option at the end of the game.
We're going to see if Paradigm is going to like to do the flexibility where they pick the Kraken early on. They like to flex that between either the jungler or the soul lane for Xaliea. Recently, they've been switching things up a little bit. Xalea's been playing a lot of Guan Yu's recently.
I think we've seen a lot of Guan Yu just in Europe in general, and I believe Variety tweeted out the last week going, why does any not play Guan Yu as much? We like the sustain in Europe, it seems, and well, with that Raw and Guan Yu last time round in that last set we just saw, I think we may see some more heals again.
Variety had an answer, though. He picked up the Odin, got a solo kill on Dimi early on in that second game, which was quite impressive as well.
He did. Well, Guan Yu definitely not going to be available this game. Dignitas going to ban that one away immediately. However, Nemesis was taken away from FrostiaK, as will ShadowNightmare's Giannis.
Really good ban for the Giannis. You don't want to deal with that high mobility available. Also, the late game burst damage we saw in that last set, just how much damage Yaman was doing in the late game. That one Fire Giant fight where Ataraxa got hit for 1100 and then adapting followed up. It's really scary to deal with. I like this bans.
Now, you did mention Kraken for Paradigm here. Now, Kraken did get some buffs recently, so he's got a little extra defense in his passive for himself, as well as some extra damage on all his abilities.
And the way Paradigm play Kraken is very aggressive early on. If it's ever on Xaliea, he'll run a purple pod as well as a level 1 curse, and he'll try to go for the first blood around mid Harpies or a blue buff invade.
Well, expect an aggressive support, especially because, aggressive jungler, especially because the support is now Khepri. Very defense mindset, so keep an eye on for Xaliea and Qvo to be the aggressors in this game.
This is a good idea for Paradigm to switch it up. Normally, we're used to seeing Trixtank playing aggressive supports, whether it's the Ares or the Bacchus. Now, giving the Khepri, he's going to have to switch it up. Definitely able to switch it up, and it's going to allow QvoFred, like you mentioned, to switch things up and play super hyper-aggressive.
FrostiaK going to lock in the Humbats for himself. Thor is available for Qvo if he wants to go that sort of route, but Zeus picked up for ShadowNightmare in the mid lane. Lots of damage potential from that one, and what will Paradigm answer back with?
It's going to be very difficult for Paradigm to play aggressive against the Zeus specifically. It's going to be dependent on if Paradigm want to do objectives, bait out Dignitas to overextend a little bit, and then take advantage of that situation.
I wonder what we could see out of Lawbster. Maybe a Scylla would be a good call, potentially?
Could see Hunters as well. He's ran Hunters before. He hasn't done it in a while. Maybe he's going to throw a wrench at Dignitas and not allow other teams to kind of see how Paradigm are truly preparing for DreamHack.
And honestly, that Neith kind of sways me the way of potentially seeing that go the mid lane. We've not seen too much Neith in the Hunter role just lately. Paradigm will also lock in Fenrir for the jungle. And I know Qvo's been starting to favour Fenrir a little bit lately. He's starting to feel like he's actually quite strong. He had some good games on it so far this season.
That's a lot of good early game aggression from Paradigm, if that is indeed Neith middle. A lot of good CCs as well. And then you have the Geb to counter the Fenrir as well.
I like Dignitas' comp already. I'm a fan of Dignitas' comp over Paradigms right now as the counterbans come through. Kronos, that's a shot towards Funballer, especially because Neith is a flex pick, and both of Funballer and Lawbster will play the Kronos as Apollo gets banned in response.
So Dignitas, they could play aggressive and defensively with the Geb here. It's difficult to engage onto the Zeus, and if Fenrir does jump in, Geb's going to be waiting in the backline with that shield. Zeus is going to get instantly cleansed away from Ragnarok.
Freya banned as well. They saw Paradigm's Funballer pick that one up last set as well, so they don't want to deal against that one either. Obviously, Geb's wave clear not going to be the strongest thing against a Khepri, and whether Neith is duo or not, it's going to be a situation where Paradigm are like, well, we've got a lot of options here to flick things around.
If that Neith is going to be duo lane, whether it's going to be the Apollo or the Jing wave for Team Dignitas, they're going to be able to get to the lane first because of the throwing dagger situation. Anhur for iRens, he's been known to play a lot of Anhurs. I'm not surprised at all, actually.
I mean,
he's
it's Apollo.
Aggressive.
I'm surprised it's Apollo Anhur, and then they banned Ho-Yi and Apollo instead, did Paradigm. Chaac, once again for Xaliea. He was probably the very first player in the SPL this season to pick up the Chaac and actually make it work. With the Transcendence pickups too, we saw some North Americans adopt that as time went on as well.
Really aggressive solo laner, really aggressive jungler right now. It looks like Paradigm is going to be leaning towards that jungle side, trying to look for some plays. Dignitas are going to have to pick something relatively safe.
What would you run in the solo lane against a Chaac here? If you wanted to win lane against Chaac, what would you run?
To win a lane against Chaac,
yeah.
Maybe a Bakasura early on. However, it's going to be a little bit difficult when there's going to be a Fenrir also trying to capitalize on that aggression. It's going to be a raw pick for Paradigm.
Raw for the extra healing coming out too, so that's a decent bit of frontline with the Chaac and Fenrir, I guess, and Peel from Khepri, and Raw to sustain this whole team up and then fire those sniping shots from the bow.
The 3v3 jungle fights are going to favor Paradigm as long as they have the Neith ultimate available to them. Their goal is to blow up the Geb at the beginning of the team fight. A Neith ultimate, Raw ultimate, Fenrir damage as well. That Geb is going to be struggling early on. Ravana picked on the flip side for Dignitas to battle the Shock. It's going to be hard for Ravana to stay in laning phase because you have to come so close to the wave.
Oh, really?
And you're going to get hit by the axe, and it's not going to look good early on.
So Chaac actually beats Ravana in lane?
Early on, yes.
Okay, well, we'll see how this one goes. Dignitas, they have a substitute. It's going to be WolfOfEloStreet on Geb. Paradigm, though, their composition's looking pretty solid. They still favor Dignitas. Game one, it's ready.
Khepri on top of him and the chase down. ShadowNightmare
oh
finds the
God!
kill!
Absolutely brilliant. There's the Athena ult. Real ult should help secure this unless Athena actually... The ult lands just in time for Suntouch to intercept.
Go Fury, Rens is here. Let's watch him.
Dignitas get them going! Fury off that engagement.
Here we go into game. We're going to tune in with Xaliea, who's gone for Blue Sun and Boots. Same for DarkDodo over in that solo lane, both with the teleport as well. Mid laners and jungles, respectively. Look like they're both going for the power potions here as well, Toli.
It's going to favor Xaliea in laning phase early on because of the way his passive works, and having the rain dance available to you is going to have more sustain than Dodo's sustain earlier on with the root. So I'm favoring Xaliea to win the early game matchup, get the Fire Giant Imps, get level 5 first, and then look for potential invades.
The funny thing is, the more I think about these two gods in the solo lane now, Chaac versus Ravana, they both have a similar time when it comes to team fights late game. They both can just like whack on someone, but they don't necessarily get kills in the later stages. I mean, Ravana's technically got a little bit more burst, but Chaac does too.
Chaac does too. You also have to take into consideration he does have a little bit of an objective steal over the Ravana. He has that burst damage coming from his ultimate. He also, which has also been a reduced cooldown as well, so he can initiate with the ulti in the beginning of a team fight and then later on use it again. I also don't really necessarily like the Ravana picking up Bluestone in this situation because he wants to be able to box around level 6 and higher on. However, not having the Death Toll to proc that sustain is going to hurt him later on.
And because of that Bluestone, it will proc onto Chaac, which means he'll get aggro, and Rain Dance should factor in the heals, correct?
Exactly, and level 3 Xaliea can clear the full wave if he neglects getting his Rain Dance.
Well, beginning of this game, we see the same old, same old. Paradigm did blue into speed. Meanwhile, Dignitas did speed into blue. Jungler's going to join Dignitas in the solo lane, so FrostiaK's going to be over there. But meanwhile, Paradigm, they did the same thing as what we saw out of Panthera earlier on. They're going to take the right and Harpies before going to lane and go straight over there for Chaac to still be there in time, but he's going to walk into 2 people.
He's going to walk into 2 people. He's going to concede the fire giants. However, sharing those right side mid piece definitely benefits him there. He lost maybe 1 melee of experience before he got to the tower. He lost a little bit of gold as well. However, in the rest of the laning phase, it should be easy for him.
Did you notice what Trixtank did there? He just rotates, didn't soak the experience from the mid laner and jungler, but he made sure there was a zone in case there was a contest there to get in the fight.
Which is very important early on. You don't expect the early rotations out of the supports, and we saw him in the last set when he was playing the Bacchus against Panthera. He was able to get that first blood early on against Yaman's Soul.
Well, and over in the dual lane, obviously Khepri and Neith are definitely going to have a power play early on in this lane, just because of the amount of clear they've got available to them, and that will just continue for the whole game pretty much.
And in the laning phase right now, both members are a little bit low as both potions are ticking. We'll see this wave necessarily. He's going to look for the poke at the axe, not going to look to clear the archers as well, recognizing that the Bluestone Pendant will proc on him, and now Dodo is level 4.
Yeah, a little bit of a back and forth between the two. Obviously Dodo, a bit of an advantage I guess a little bit earlier on, just because the minions are in his favor at the moment, but FrostiaK, very deep inside Paradigm's jungle, did find those back harpies, but did manage to get to safety and recall.
He gets level 4 as well, gets out safely. Very aggressive and risky, bold move. Dignitas, really aggressive early on, and it surprises me.
Well, sustain coming out from Lawbster. He's going to sit in it, and now they're looking for pressure on ShadowNightmare, who uses Purification immediately and actually stops QvoFred from continuing in, forcing him back.
And that's a small foreshadowing of just how much Zeus is going to do in this stage of the game right now. Fenrir barely committed and took that much damage in the backhand side. Trixtank looking for a sneaky gank. The Purification's down.
Shield down as well. Going to get the snipe off as well. Looking for the extra damage. Trixtank gets the kill. Rotation on the mark from Trixtank already. And you see the pings coming down immediately from Dignitas there as well, I believe, saying, come on, where's the rotation? Call this out.
Because the Purification was down earlier on, that was a free kill. Paradigm jumping on that opportunity. They're looking like they really want to get this win. They want to be securing their spot into DreamHack so far.
Well, they technically hold Dignitas' future in their hands as well, right? They take 2-0 Dignitas here, Dignitas are out, and Paradigm, they pretty much need the wins here too, just to try and get themselves potentially a better seeding for DreamHack. Also, the way Zeus was playing that, you're level 4, you don't have Purification, you don't have a natural escape. You have to respect that you could potentially get ganked at any moment. As Fenrir jumps in. Good silence, good combo, deletion of the solo laner TheDarkDodo. Now they can look for some extra pressure if they want. Instead, they're going to base. The speed and blue's up though.
QvoFred just doing little plays here, little plays there. He got the Purification in mid lane. He finds the kill in the solo lane, and now he's going to look for a speed buff invade potentially. And even if he doesn't get the speed buff invade, he's just stalling and buying time for FrostiaK not to get it. Teleport even taking
now.
The little minions away.
He does take the little minions, and there's a teleport from Dodo. Knowing he's back means he may have to relinquish this. FrostiaK does have his Fear No Evil, so he might try and force this if he wants to. Try and force the Fear No Evil to be used, but Dignitas very scared of being engaged in there. There's the Fear No Evil. Overhand smash. Qvo's in trouble. Qvo in the sustain though, and the heal comes out, as well as the ultimate from as well Trixtank, but he's alive still because Meditate comes in.
And now with the rotation from Xaliea, this teamfight's looking in Paradigm's favor. Lawbster getting a pretty good ultimate as FrostiaK's a little bit low. Dodo trying to find somebody.
He was still trying to chase into Trixtank, but the poke coming out from Lawbster just pushed them all back. Dignitas do find the right on Harpies, and they got their own speed buff of that, but nobody died, so it's not doom and gloom for Paradigm.
They forced the Purification out of QvoFred, so they should be looking for that next time the ultimates come around for FrostiaK.
Neith rotating from the dual lane to the left-hand Harpies here, so Paradigm doing a good job of rotating around the map and supporting their own at the moment. That blue buff is available, and FrostiaK going to combine with Dodo there to take that one down, as I believe that went the way of Paradigm.
And if I'm Chaac here, I'm looking to try to be annoying around the blue buff, knowing that the Fear No Evil is down. You're not at a risk to really lose your life here. The axe comes out. It hits FrostiaK, but it doesn't get connect on the blue.
So close, yet so far. Level 8 is about to be achieved for Xaliea over in that solo lane.
Oh, he did steal it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't see the
Dodo didn't even pick it up.
I didn't see the experience go up, so I guess Xaliea did steal it. The hero they needed.
That was a really clutch axe. Very good timing, recognizing that the overhand smash was just a little bit delayed and the axe connected for the last hit.
He used to be a solo laner, right?
Yeah.
How annoying is that?
It's very annoying. And even they expected that kind of a steal as well. Dignitas pulled it out of the cove, so that way they would see Xaliea coming around the corner. They saw the axe coming, but they just couldn't react with enough damage.
Lack of mana, has to overhead kick there, and it's just domination from Xaliea in the lane now. Teleport is down from Dodo, out of mana. No mana potions available to him either. He's going to lose a couple of creeps as in the jungle. Trixtank trying to bait around here, looking for a pick for a potential snipe from Lawbster.
The shell is down for the Geb, so the teamfight will favor Paradigm in this situation, as Meditate will be up before the shell, so this is what Paradigm are expecting to happen. Also, going back off of that solo lane gank, once you die the first time, you don't have to get ganked any more times. You're just going to lose from the 1v1 situation, especially if Xaliea did what he did there, just stealing the blue buff with a simple ability.
Well, Lawbster goes back to base, picks up his full boost, so shoots in the mid-zone line as well as some sentry wards and normal wards too. And Lawbster, back to one of his original gods in that Ra there. He's seen him time and time again pick it up, but it's nice to see the old sniper coming back out. We saw it from Pretty Prime make an impact with it, and Lawbster's already doing work with it already.
Ra has always been around the block. You know, he's kind of that old school god where he's been one of the original smite gods to begin with, and he has a lot of burst damage, a lot of sustain, pretty good mobility as well. Doesn't have an easy escape, but his mobility from his passive, which also got buffed in the recent patches, makes him a very favorite god now yet again, people recognizing and respecting his burst.
Now Renz is doing a good job over in that dual lane already. He's still trying to keep the pressure that we've seen out of him multiple times this season where he started to feel himself, but he is getting ganked at the moment by Trixtank, who's coming around the back on that left-hand side. And I don't know if Renz recognizes it yet. He will, because now Trix is in lane. He's trying to hold his leap for the right moment. Is the abduct going to connect? It is, you know, but there's no follow-up from Funballer. Funballer immediately disengages, going for the minions instead. Minions over kills.
It forces the purification as well from iRens, so that was a successful gank, even though there was no kill. Purification sets up a potential kill in the next 145 seconds.
Well, 4 members just got spotted over at that speed buff on the right-hand side. Will Paradigm try and look towards a goal here? It doesn't look like that'll be the case, though. At the moment, they're just continuing to farm up with their 2-0 lead.
Speed buff has been picked up by FrostiaK. He's looking to get something around the side of the map, as there's a pretty aggressive positioning in the mid lane. They're trying to... No, they're not going to go left side.
I mean, Paradigm just want to fight all the time. These left harpies are about to spawn. Not flashing just yet, though, but when they do, a couple seconds later, they will be open. Already Paradigm in position. Let's just go to the graphs here, because experience lead, I definitely feel, wow, it's pretty big. 2,000 experience lead at 7 minutes in.
Considering the fact that they lost the blue buff, you know, TheDarkDodo's level 9 compared to Xalia's level 10. The way Paradigm is dictating this game is very dominant early on. There's no gold furies early on, only 1 buff steal as well.
But they're lacking a little bit of leadership, I guess, from the support role of Suntouch here. Not necessarily his leadership, but maybe his communication of wanting to be aggressive like he does. WolfOfEloStreet having to step in today, meaning, well, it's relying on FrostiaK again, which is one of the things Dignitas suffered with through regular season when they only had him.
When you're playing Geb in the support role, you're generally looking for the initiation from the other team, and you counter-initiate, more importantly. You could potentially be the aggressors with a Geb, but when you start up Shell, you're dictating, I'm not initiating unless I get a max rollout speed initiation that's perfect without the blink.
So is that Dick's plan then? He's wait for level 12, so he's got the blink available, and then we'll see some initiation, some attack aggression from Dignitas?
That's their safest way to initiate, to have that get blink, and that's going to allow for forcing the purification to allow FrostiaK to follow up later on in the stages. So right now, Dignitas are playing a slow and steady game where they want Paradigm to be the aggressors and take advantage of it.
Well, Paradigm have been the aggressors and found 2 kills because of it. There's not been really an answer from Dignitas just yet. They nearly found something though on Qvo, who was overextended, but he got himself out of the danger zone there. Xaliea has just dinged level 12, so Relic online, 2-level lead over Dodo as he actually clears this wave, actually just a level now. But the amount of poke he's putting out onto that young man is painful.
I like the wards coming out of Dodo as well at the Fire Giant side. This allows him to still clear the wave outside of his tower. If he doesn't know where the jungler is, he cannot do that. He's going to lose a lot of gold under tower, which would extend Xalia's lead that much further.
And Paradigm in mid lane, they're just continuing to poke them under the tower, keep them positioned there as they push the minion wave in. Lawbster now going to be able to head back to base. Trixtank just hung on that corner multiple times.
And Xaliea just being a big bully right now. They're tied in terms of the items. However, the sustain favoring Xaliea a little bit as well, as the axe does have a shorter cooldown than the overhead kick. Xaliea taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, he is, and Dodo really can't make a decision about whether he wants to go back yet or not. He's got teleport up in another few seconds, so he's going to hold for hashtag 1 more wave, but is 1 more wave too much for him? Well, he does get a heal off that route, so it will keep him sustained enough for this next wave at least.
I like the idea that Xalia's going to play aggressive. It might force a rotation from FrostiaK, who's already level 9. If he misses more experience, then that's going to allow QvoFred to play aggressive.
Oh, Dodo's in trouble. Dodo's in a lot of trouble. He may have to ult away from this, but the ult, there's the Will Weaver, he's done.
Yeah, he's definitely done, and it's going to look like the Batz is going to grab his speed buff, but there's an engagement in the mid lane.
Yeah, Duck does connect. The snipe hits too, but it was on WolfOfEloStreet. But meanwhile, Qvo jumps with a Ragnarok onto ShadowNightmare. Fenrir evil from FrostiaK though. They're looking for Qvo, but the ult comes out from Trix, and that forces a disengage from Dig.
Good disengage. So far, it's a 2-for-0 trade, as there was a kill in the soul lane as well, and now with the sustain coming out of Paradigm's meditation and the raw sustain, they could easily sneak gold here as Chaac getting the solo tower.
That's true, and Chaac will get the solo tower. The funny thing about that pick up on Dodo within their solo lane. Even I forgot there was a Neith in that game. Dodo probably did too. Otherwise, he would have backed.
It's very important to always remember about the globals in the mid and the duo lane, whether it's Athena or the Neith, a Giannis, Thor, all these even the Shibalanki ultimate, you always have to take into consideration in the solo lane.
Trixtank getting poked out a little bit by Rens, but he's doing his job. He's keeping the danger man of the Gold Fury, iRens, busy, and Qvo's going to join him to make sure he can't get involved, but the Gold Fury still stands. Xaliea is now over here, and it will finally fall the way of Paradigm.
10-minute Gold Fury going into the favor of Paradigm, extending their lead to about 4,000 right now. Experience chart as well, 5,000 experience. More importantly, at this stage of the game, this is Paradigm's game.
No real mistakes from Paradigm so far either. I've not really seen anything that looked out of the ordinary, something that they made a mistake with. It just seems clinical so far.
Calculated aggression. Xaliea around the blue buff, giving up the Fire Gen imps early on so that they can get the right side mid Harpies. All these little maneuvers that Paradigm are doing are very calculated. Even playing aggressive in the solo lane, knowing that they could capitalize with a Neith ultimate.
This is a better end to the season for Paradigm than what we saw like midway through this season. They were really struggling to find wins and dropping games against teams that you wouldn't have expected, like Torpedo, you know? They dropped games against Torpedo, no offense to them, but Paradigm just weren't looking themselves.
And then week number 6, we saw Hungry for More beating Paradigm 2-0. And then ever since that set specifically, Paradigm had been on a 6-2 run, and they look like a totally different team. This is now looking like, you know, that number 2 seeded team that we're expecting for Paradigm. And they know they don't want to be the number 1 seeded Curse team.
Well, they don't want to be number 1, but they don't want Hungry for More to go in ahead of him either, because that could put them in a worse position overall, honestly. And Paradigm slipping down that low, they won't be happy with that themselves.
Not at all.
So they've stepped it up again, I think, and against Dignitas, I think this could have been so far. Maybe we would have seen something different if we had Sun Touch, but I don't know if Sun Touch would have made as much of an impact just yet.
Speaking of something different, look at Funballer's build right now, going at the Golden Bow, Devo Gloves, and building into Fatalis onto the Neith. Very unexpected. Normally you want to get the physical power on Neith because you're more ability-based than anything else. However, that's going to mean that Paradigm's going to be looking to play very aggressive, and Funballer's going to want to capitalize on that and constantly chase somebody down as well.
We'll see how he works out with that. He's got the extra sustain, as you said, from that. And once again, the group mid lane from Trixtank and Quvo just going to wait for Lawbster to turn up before clearing the wave. And it's all roses for Paradigm right now. Still, Trixtank going aggressive and just looking for potential roots or abducts. Right hand side, though, Dodo being chased into the wrong side of the jungle. Whirlweaver's used. They realize he's overextending and he's alone. He does ult over the wall to buy him a moment, but he's got no tower. And now with Quvo turning up and Trixtank too, there's going to be no response in time from Dignitas. I don't think shield from Wolf is good, but it's not good enough to allow Dodo to get away from the silence and axe combination.
That took so long, but because of the fact that the Gold Fury was already down earlier from Paradigm, that was a very nice calculated gank. They knew that it would take a while to kill Dodo, but they didn't care because Gold Fury, there was no chance to get it.
Hot fight going on in the jungle, and be careful because Rens will win that trade just because of the passive Anhur halves of just reducing your protections.
However, Funballer hitting the Unravel reduces the attack speed. Nightmare dying in the mid lane.
Yeah, Quvo managed to catch him, but he may pay the price under that tower. He will get away. Meanwhile, there's a Fury from Rens, connects on Trix. Trix still running for his life. One more in hand will do it, but he can't get in range. Lawbster, though, picks up FrostiaK, and now Rens is on the run. Has he got a snipe? No, he doesn't. Lawbster not got it available now. Xaliea giving chase. Funballer flanking around the left-hand side. Right-hand side is Lawbster. Rens is surrounded by all angles here. Run, Forest, run. Funballer gonna not find the route, and he will escape.
And with that escape, he's going to have to defend the tier 1 mid tower. Xaliea could play aggressive here as QvoFred forced to Purify away and using his Sanctuary, saving his life. And looks like in the mid lane, Paradigm is going to look to play aggressive in the mid tower as the Rens has the back.
And that's why Trixtank is chasing 2 on the right-hand side here. Just keep them busy so they can get a tier 1 tower in the mid lane and just keep applying a golden experience lead over Dignitas.
And now on the left-hand side, the Neith is also pushing the solo tower. So Paradigm is doing wonderfully so far these objectives, getting the blue buff, getting the mid tower, Gold Fury, left tower as well. Everything's looking on the up and up for Paradigm.
Up and up, all tier 1 towers will fall any moment now. Ren's going to try and fight though, gets a good impale. Just out of range with the first in hand though. Second hits, the Unravel's good, it's going to slow down the attack speed. Lawbster and Xaliea turn up for support now. No rotation from Dignitas here. They're all in mid lane right now, which means the tier 1 will fall on the left.
And with Paradigm's vision right now around the Gold Fury, they have really good sentry wards, allows them to still overextend into that dual lane.
They're looking at the red buff now. 3 members are here. They're not going to find it though. FrostiaK finds the Fear No Evil on Funballer's face. Funballer in a bit of trouble, but meditation being used by himself.
That was they have 3 meditations? Oh no, they have 2. I'm sorry.
They have 2.
Okay, it wasn't Xaliea that had the meditation. He has the sprint. So it's 2 meditations, 1 on the Hunter. Very unconventional opening build from Funballer, to say the least.
So, meditation on Hunter. I mean, the old days, meditation used to give, you know, decent health and decent mana, but it's now based off your health pool. And your mana pool, right?
Back in the day, it also used to give you a passive MP5 to allow you to sustain through laning phase a little bit longer.
So you see, it's actually 50% of the owner's health and 35% of the owner's maximum health. But the problem, sorry, maximum mana. But the problem with Funballer is he's a squishy.
It's
so
interesting.
50% of your maximum health and your health's like 1,000. It's 150 heal.
It's interesting because he knows that he's going to get isolated potentially in a team fight against FrostiaK. So his goal is to basically survive as long as possible with that meditation and still box.
This is a Panthera strategy. You've ever seen one with that Will Weaver being channeled there. Who they're going to look for though? Is it Rens? Is it FrostiaK? Well, it's not going to be the red buff because it's not available. Trixtank off the mark with the Solar Blessing, but not doing fine. GoFury has been pulled by Funballer on Cuvo. Now Trix on zone duty. Lawbster's in mid though. Teleport comes in from Xaliea. Lawbster's still in mid now, rotating around, but around the back is FrostiaK. They're keeping 3 busy, but FrostiaK's in the back line still, and FrostiaK may be able to cause an issue with the Fear No Evil if he finds it. GoFury's reset. WolfOfEloStreet. Good cataclysm from him, but he gets bursted down by Lawbster. Snipe is off the mark, doesn't find his target. Meanwhile, Cuvo's under pressure, has to leap away, being chased down by Dodo. FrostiaK's looking for him as well, but Xalia's chasing down FrostiaK at the same time. This is a crazy fight, but still Paradigm are winning it.
The sustain from Paradigm is just too much. The mobility as well. The sprint allowing QvoFred to disengage. They just overextended too much on QvoFred. Not able to get a good Geb ulti as he was a little bit out of position trying to stop Paradigm from getting the Gold Fury. But now with those 2 deaths earlier on, there's no way they can stop Paradigm from getting the second Gold Fury.
Zay just throws the X out, which will confirm the Gold Fury for Paradigm this time round. Dignitas have to back away. And this is just great play coming out from Paradigm.
And second Gold Fury confirmed at the 17-minute mark. 8,500 gold, 11,000 experience right now. Paradigm are running away with this one.
So what's the problem for Dignitas this game, Tolly? What's been the issue?
The issue is like they ran a defensive composition with the Geb, and then the early aggression that Paradigm had with the rotation from Trixtank, capitalizing on ShadowNightmare with no purification, set up the rest of the pace of the game. Xaliea also getting a gank from QvoFred set him up for a blue buff steal, and those 2 winning advantages allowed Paradigm to just control the jungle side with vision and then use the sustain from Lawbster to get the Gold Furies.
Are we already looking at a Fire Giant steal to try and get back into this?
At this point in time, I wouldn't even try for Fire Giant if I'm Paradigm, because that's the only way you could potentially lose and throw. I would just be looking for tier 2 towers at this point in time, look for another Gold Fury, and then once we're about 12 to 15,000 gold ahead with 3 or 4 level higher, then we go for the Fire Giant.
Well, Trixtank was looking towards the red buff there. He's trying to find himself 1 more kill just so he's even with his team and how many each of them have got at the moment. Xaliea keeping Dodo busy over in the solo lane as per usual, denying Dodo from being able to get to his blue buff for now. A lot of pings on that right-hand side of the map about the blue buff, I believe, is once again Trixtank looking at ShadowNightmare. If the purification was not used, that was a dead Zeus.
Even though the purification was used, he backpedaled a little bit, but it was just out of the range of the raw snipe as Dodo is going to force the ulti into his own blue buff. Going to get chased down by QvoFred. Ragnarok comes out.
And the axe comes down too, and the silence on top of that. Dodo will fall. WolfOfEloStreet can't get there with a shield in time. Meanwhile, the Hunters dueling it out a little bit more, and Funballer was to prove that Rens isn't the king of the jungle at the moment.
No, not at all. The mobility from Funballer is going to allow him to either escape if he gets too low or allow to chase and secure the kill as an ultimate is being used.
It does come out, but the autos are great from Funballer on the mark. The leap in place, the backflip wasn't cancelled out. On Ravel misses too, but meditation comes into play. Rens duking out the shots a little bit, but the sustain from Lawbster. Lawbster's going to be a scumbag and steal and ruin the 1v1.
Lawbster's like, okay, Funballer, you had your fun. Now it's time for me to have some fun. I'm going to use my sprint and get this kill confirmed. The jump should be up any second for Rens right now. He's just trying to buy as much time as possible. Being chased by 2 members. QvoFred getting tier 2 tower on the right-hand side in the meantime, however.
Tier 2 tower's going to go down, and Funballer is so salty. I can see Funballer so salty. Like, Lawbster, why? I was enjoying that fight.
Like, I built Fatalis just for this moment so I can chase Rens down in my own jungle.
And Lawbster's like, nah, bro, I got you. It's fine. I'm your support now.
Yeah.
Tier 2 tower falls on the right-hand side, and Paradigm continues to extend the lead as well as that kill onto iRens there. Let's go to the graphs, and you'll see the tail of this has just been a slow but steady increase since the 9 minutes 46 was like, bloop, all the way.
And Dignitas for the next game, because I don't see them winning this one, they're going to have to switch up their strategy. They're going to have to discuss where they went wrong in the picks and bans and how they executed this game incorrectly with their positioning a little bit earlier on. So they're going to have to fix those 2 problems, and they're going to have to play aggressive if they want to get the game, because they can't play from behind against Paradigm. Paradigm, if they get ahead early on, they're going to run away with it. So Dignitas have to respond by making their own plays earlier on and putting Paradigm on the back foot.
You see Golden Hand, a lot available for ShadowNightmare right now at 980, still working potentially for his Obsidian Shard here just to get some extra damage online for the Zeus. He is top player damage in the game, I believe, still, and for his team. but it's just not enough at the moment. He's still getting picked off. He's not getting enough defense for himself.
It's not enough because the members of Dignitas are playing isolated, whereas Paradigm are playing beautifully together, especially with the sustain from the Raw as well.
Has Blink, gonna go in, cackles him on 2. Forces Purification on QvoFred, who doesn't even care. Still looking for the tower. Does finally retreat. WolfOfEloStreet giving chase, but the slow's good from the backflip. Rens, though, with the Desert Fury on Funballer is going to lower him down, but Qvo manages to use the Ragnarok and pick up Rens, forcing his Purification. Reinforcements from Paradigm arrive.
And here comes the sustain from Lawbster as well, finding the first pick is Xaliea onto WolfOfEloStreet. They need to get this tier 2 tower as well. Meditation popped as we do have 2 members from Dignitas thinking about coming underneath, but going to think otherwise.
The Meditations just force them back immediately. They need to defend the tier 2 tower now. Dodo and FrostiaK round the right, waiting for a commitment from Paradigm. The commitment is here. There's the blink. There's the Fear No Evil from FrostiaK, but it doesn't force anyone in an awkward spot. Xaliea still going to the back, going to zone 3 members away, looking for Rens, who has the leap. Ultimate is out. Silence hit. Axe hits 2. Xaliea gets 1. Lawbster another. Tower falls. They could look for the Phoenix. Oh, but a surrender vote has already begun from Dignitas, and it will go through.
Does go through. Dignitas now at 11 and 14. This puts them at a must-win situation. If they lose this next game, they are out of DreamHack.
Does this mean, like, if they win this next game, they still have to win all the remaining games?
Yes, they have to win every single game to still remain positive into DreamHack right now.
And Dignitas have Fnatic at the end of the season left to play, so they could find 2 there, but that first game did not go well for them at all.
No, they need to play aggressive and be having a controlling game in the early game is very important for Dignitas. They can't allow Paradigm to get that advantage early.
Well, Wolf